Sup y'all, it's Fun Night and I hope you had a fantastic day today because today I want to take the time to help you out about how to do better deck building and Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesys format. First and foremost, I have to make a little disclaimer. I am not a pro player of this game, alright? I'm more of a casual side, but I love to do so much deck building during all these years of playing different TCG, and I also love to do, deck building for my friends, that I gather some skills during these years and experience that really helped me out a lot when deck building decks from scratch, and I want to help you out and maybe share my experience and my ideas that I got from these years with you and maybe help you out, just deck building better in general. So how does it work, deck building a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or in general? Because of course not for today, I'm going to use it for Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesys format, but all the tips and advice I'm going to give you today can be used for any other format and even for other games. So that's why this video is really good if you want to gather some new tricks and skills, and most importantly, mindset. Because yeah, this is the first step of when you're building a deck from scratch, is what is the purpose behind it? What is the goal? And my sense, I feel like there's three major profile of when you're making a deck. First one is trying to make a deck for for a huge event, for a tournament, for a competitive huge event, for example, a YCS, regionals, or a big huge tournament that you want to be ready and want to make sure to get all the chances on your side to win this event. This is like making a deck for that specific reason. You're not there to have fun, you're not there to trying to make something playable, you're just there to make sure that you're building the most perfect deck ever, or at least as much as possible, and be able to compete with that deck. The second one is more a chill side, but it's still a little bit competitive, is to try to make a deck that you enjoy, but that is still competitive and playable to wins and local scenes. Because of course, there's a huge differences between the locals meta and the YCS regionals meta. It's two completely different worlds, and sometimes you're maybe just a guy like me that just want to play at at locals level, and you don't really expect to go to regionals and YCS, so your mindset being your deck building will be completely different. Sometimes it will be to try to beat the decks at your own locals, because locals have their own meta, and so that your mindset and how you will build your deck will be completely different versus if it was for a YCS or regional. And for most, the last one, this one is really simple. It's a casual mindset. You just want to build a deck around your favorite card, or just want to try to make a old and outdated archetype playable. Maybe it's your favorite archetype and stuff, or maybe you just want to make yourself a challenge and trying to build any type of deck from scratch without no experience or issue whatsoever, and your goal is just to make it a little bit playable, at least to not just break and stuff like that, and you just want to train your deck building skills. Whatever is the case, this is the three major ways of deck building, and for this video particularly, I will choose the mindset of doing for a local scenes. This is the one type of deck building that I'm most familiar with and that I'm always doing every day, and I think it fits most perfectly this video, and that it's a good in between the casual and the competitive side of this format. So how do we start? First of all, you have to get an idea. Alright, what do I want to play? For this video, of course, I will choose to try to make a deck around my favorite card, which is GOOD Yugioh. First and foremost, you will see you will start with looking at the first cards you have in mind. You don't stress about it. If you have a card in mind you want to play, just directly put it and the deck build. Maybe it's a spell trap, maybe it's a spell, maybe it's a trap, maybe it's a monster. Just take it, put it in the deck, don't make too much, don't think too much about it, and just try to look at the card. For example, when I'm looking at GOOD Yugioh, what do I see? Well, I'm going to read everything on this card. I'm going to read his attribute, which is a wind, his level 3, he's a winged beast, tuner. Alright, that's interesting. That's meaning he is mostly played in a synchro deck. And after that, I'm going to read his effect. If a face-up custom monster on the field is destroyed by battle or sent to your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay, so that means this card, GOOD Yugioh, have to play with other Gusto. So this, of course, it's from the Gusto archetype. So I'm going to check at the Gusto archetype, and I will see all the other cards. And I will try to start from a small engine. You don't have to build all the decks right now. The goal is not to optimize the decks. The goal is to start from scratch. It's to start from the beginning, And so that's why your first step, after choosing your mindset of what type of deck you want to build, is to check the heart of this card, the heart of this deck. That's how I like to call it. GOOD Yugioh is really the heart of this deck, so that's why I'm really focused on it. So I know that I will have to play other Gusto because of his effect. I know that it's going to be based around a synchro deck, and I think it's going to be around level 3s, Wind Beast, you know. So that's good step. That's a good starting for me. So that's narrowed down all the possible other archetypes or cards I could play in this deck. So let's start with the Gusto. Of course, normally I will take my time to, go through all the cards and read them and stuff, but I will just do it really easy for you. Gusto is my favorite archetype and it suck ass. Okay, it's not playable. It's 95% of the card I have not been reprinted since 2012. There's a lot of when you can, which means that they're always missing timing. It's really outdated, and some of them have to be destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, like GOOD Yugioh. It's really not a good archetype, but even though it's a bad archetype, it doesn't mean every single card in this archetype is bad. So for example, GOOD Yugioh, I know I can do some plays with them, and you know what? Let's take a look at Pelika Descendant on a Gusto. Wind, level 3, is not a tuner. When this card is normal special summon, you can target one wind tuner monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target and face-up defense position. Its effects are negated. If you activate this effect, you cannot special summon monster for the rest of this turn except wind monster. That's really good. Pelika means that, if I'm playing a grind game or, game that, lasts longer than the first 2 turns, that means Pelika will actually be useful to recycle my resources and my graveyard to do even more synchro. So that's really good. So that means I can also special summon Pelika thanks to Gusto effects, and then I will be able to then activate her effect to bring another tuner, which is really good. I can do a lot of synchro with them with just these 2 cards. So that's a great beginning. So what does that mean? Of course, I'm going to play Pelika at 3. And boom, I'm going to go Gusto Yugioh at 3 also, because I want to have the more chances to have both of them in my hand. We're already 6 cards out of 40. We're a long way ahead. We still have a lot of stuff to do, but it's a good beginning. Alright, so of course, all the spell and traps are really not that good target Gusto. The problem is that when you want to make a deck around a bad archetype, your focus is not to make it playable as a peer. You will have to make it mix with another type of archetype, which is going to be this case for this specific deck with Gusto Yugioh and Pelika Descendant of Gusto. So let's take a look at the synchro then, because we know we're not going to play all the other Gustos. They're not necessary, they're really bad. Let's take a look at the synchros. Gusto equals worth nothing. Maybe it's generic. You can banish one wind monster from your graveyard, blah blah. That's good. That's cool if you're playing a wind monster deck, like we're going to do. But target one first down card you're putting control. It's too specific. It's too situational. What is the best when your deck building is making it possible to play as generic as possible? That's why Pelika is a great card. For example, great card, in quotes, but because Pelika is not mentioning you can target one Gusto wind tuner. It's mentioning one wind tuner. That's meaning I can use her effect with any other wind tuner. And also the fact that I cannot special monster from the rest of this turn except wind monster means that I'm now 100% sure that the rest of my deck is going to be wind monsters. So this deck is 100% a synchro wind decks. That's narrowed down the possibility of cards so much. It's going to help me out really good, really hard. Of course, all of them are really bad for calls. Who gave a fuck all Gusto monster? That's what I'm saying by outdating. But let's take a look. We have Gusto Yugioh level 3, Pelika level 3, so that means I want synchro monster Gusto that is level 6. That's narrowed down to only 2 of them. Gusto La Plan Pelika and Gusto Freeze. I will spread it immediately for you. The better one is Gusto Freeze. Gusto La Pelika is not bad, but the problem is that it's more good if you're playing a more Gusto, which is not our case, because remember the rest of the archetype is really bad. So we want to make a good generic engine out of this bad archetype. And Gusto Freeze is really the best synchro for this small package engine of Gusto. When this card is synchro summon, you can target one Gusto cards in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. Your opponent takes any battle damage you will have taken from battles involving a face-up Gusto monster you control. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. This is really good actually. This is really good. This is not a... now we are going to ask why it's good. It's not a tower. Maybe a little bit, but not that much. It can be destroyed by card effect. Her power is really low. There is no target removal, but remember, we want this build of Gusto. We early in this video, we already specified that this mod package engine is for, grind games. It's for games that last longer. So that Gusto is actually really good for recycling that info, because when this card is synchro summon, you can target one Gusto card in graveyard, add that target to your hand. That means we can add back Pelika into our hands after using her as a synchro material for this Gusto freeze. And if we have special summon her during this turn, we can now normal summon it back and bring another Wind Tuner from our graveyard to then do another synchro, which is really good. We can also try to recycle during our plays. That's one of the best, qualities of the Gusto archetype, is to be able to recycle. Of course, all of the others recycle too, it's really too slow, but in this cases, it's really good. It's really fast. And I think I'm even going to play 2 of her because, just for that aspect. At 3, I think it's too much. I want to make space for way better synchro for sure, but that Gusto freeze for 2 and extra deck is going to be really good. And after that, we're going to wait here. There's like maybe another card that could have be good, which is Tailwind of Gusto, but it's the same problem as that Gusto. La Plandica is that it only works with Gusto monster. It's not generic enough. And yeah, the problem is it requires you to play more Gusto, and we do not want that. Like I said, the rest of the archetype is really, really bad, and so we're unfortunately not being able to play this card without being a break, because that's one aspect you have to remember. Your deck have to have a certain flow in it. You don't want your deck to break and with another archetype or another style of play. You want, it has to be smooth, like the mix have to be perfect. And that's why we're not going to play cards that are not enough generic, So that's going to be our small Gusto package. Now let's look at the weaknesses of this small package. All right, so I'm stuck to wind monsters. So all the deck have to be wind monsters. Also, my deck is more focused on synchro. So for sure, a deck is going to play like a synchro deck. And the biggest weaknesses is that these two are, the small package is not a good starter, a early game package. If you have Pelika or Gusto and your opening hand, yeah, it's good, but it's not good enough. You're not going to do a lot of play with them. These are more better after turn 2, turn 3. So next, I know that I want another package, another engine that works perfectly during the early game. And that's what I click. Now I'm going to make some research. I'm going to research, for example, all right, what does it feel like, when being monsters? Now I know that I'm stuck in wind, so I'm going to put the wind attribute, the attribute wind right here. And I will take a look at, let's mention synchro, and now let's take a look at all the possibility. So we can take a look, we have, for example, a Stardust Dragon, that Crystal Clearing Synchro Dragon. Okay, there's really good wind synchro right here, and we're looking for archetypes right now. We need to try to find another archetype that is going to work well with our current package. So of course the Dragonity, but Dragonity is more about Wing Beast and Dragon. It's not really their case. I mean, we have some Wing Beasts, but not that much. So Dragonity, of course, is not going to be the one for it. And Speed Raid. Okay, Speed Raid can be interesting, and yeah, I think we're going to go with Speed Raid, because you have to go to, you're going to do your research, you're going to go through them, and after that you realize, okay, what archetype, after I determine what are my weaknesses and what I need right now, can fit most of the cases. And Speed Raid is that. Speed Raid is amazing. It's a lot of one card starter combo. It's really, really good early game, but the problem with Speed Raid is that, when you continue to grind later on the game, the more the game lasts, the less effective it is. So that means Gusto is actually going to be really good mixing with Speed Raid. So all right, now I found the second archetype I want to match with my bad one, with my with my Gusto one. So what I'm going to play, so I'm going to look through the card, and for example, Speed Raid Card Shoulder is going to be amazing. But before saying why, let's take a look at the normal monster, not the normal, but the monster effect first. Of course, Speed Raid to the top. If you control no monster, you can special discard from your hand. We need as many special summon as possible. This is something we're lacking right now. We're lacking some, some swarming, some, some speed, and that's amazing because Speed Raid is right here. So of course, we're going to play 3 Speed Raid to the top. And that's mean we're already going to use 9 points, which is not bad. We're still good. We're still good. You look at the rest of the archetype, there's no point. It's only 9 points. It's really good. Speed Raid to the top. You can start so many combos with him. So you're going to use it. After that, I'm going to add 3 Speed Raid Tekken Borg, which is again really amazing alongside Terratop. And after that, I'm like, alright, now I'm going to add 2 Speed Raid Red Eye Dice. Why exactly? Well, when this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 Speed Raid monster you control and declare a level from 1 to 6. It becomes that level until the end of this turn. That's really good because, of course, at the beginning you're not going to have this knowledge, but after doing a lot of playtesting like I did with my previous attempts at versions, I learned how this card really works well in my deck. And now we need to talk about the ratio, because for example, I want Speed Raid Tekken Borg to be in my opening hand. I want Terratop to be in my opening hand. Of course, Pelican Gusto, we don't run it immediately, but we also want to have the chances of having both at the same time in their opening hand. So that's why we play 3 of them instead of 2 of them. And Red Eye's dice, the reason we play 2 is because, of course, we don't want it in the opening hand. We don't want it to be special summoned thanks to Spirit Terratop or be added by Terratop or be special summoned by Tekken Borg. But the reason why we don't only want only one Red Eye dice is because we want to have more chances to be able to do a second combo with Red Eye Dice later on. Red Eye Dice will be really good because it allows us to have access to a lot more margin of different synchro monster levels. Instead of being stuck to level 6 and level 9, we can now have access to level 7, to level 8, to any level available. So that's really good. And we want 2 of them, like I said, because we want to be able to do display twice if the game is going to last longer. And also it can be recycled thanks to PDK, so that's really good. Now let's take a look at the rest of it. Of course, sooner I mentioned Cork Shooter, so I'm going to play it. Why? Because this card, if all materials that were used for the synchro summon of this card were Speed Raid monster and are all in your graveyard, special summon all of them. That's mean now I know that I can do this combo with Speed Raid Red Eye Dice and Speed Raid Terratop, and then I can climb up to a way bigger synchro monster, which is really good. And that reminds me of, hey, Clearwing. I know a Clearwing monster, right? Yeah, of course I know them. Clearwing Synchro Dragon. We're going to play 2 of these. We have Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon. We can play 1 of these for the 1-star combo early game. Oh wait, I understand now. I can do some plays. We can also play the level 8 because why the fuck not? And there we go. Now, just like that, we start to have 14 cards in the main deck, and 7 is no, that's 8 cards in the extra deck already. It's really going well right now. So let's go back to the Speed Raid again, and yeah, we can also have the High Speed Raid Glider number 2. If this card is synchro summon, you can target my level 7 or lower when non-2-number synchro monster in your graveyard, special summon it. I think playing it at 1 if the game lasts longer is going to be really good, because remember, the problem with Speed Raid is that the more longer the game lasts, they lose fuel a lot. So you want to be able, during the lasting games, if you're playing against a matchup like Stuns or Floodgates or something like that, you want to be able to continuously do a lot of plays with the help of the Gusto, of course. So that's really good. And what else? I guess we can also play 2 Speed Raid Fuki Modoshi Piper, because if this card is normal special summon, you can excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of other winds monster you control, add 1 excavate card to your hand, also plus the rest of the bottom. So it's like you can also look at the top of your deck based on the number of monsters, wind monster you control, which is going to happen a lot because we're going to swarm the board really easily thanks to the Speed Raid. And so yeah, I think it's really good to play at 2. Just like Red Eye, we don't want it in the opening hand, but we all want to have the chance to be able to use it during the game. And what is really good about this card is that there's a second effect which is going to help us a lot. You can banish this card from your graveyard and target 1 level 3 or higher wind monsters you control, reduce its level by 2. It's make it way more accessible to then do plays, synchro summoning thanks to this card also. So that's really good. And of course we could play Speed Raid Card Turbo, but I want to keep some spaces because I see that I'm already at 16, and I think that's quite a lot right now. But let's review now what we have in hand right now. So we have a package. We have the Gusto engine that makes it perfectly good for a game that lasts longer than the early game. We have Speed Rate that is going to help us doing a lot of one card combos and the early games, which was lacking with the Gusto package. So the two mixed well together. I think we're still missing some things though. We're still missing another package. Why is that? The problem is that, as you can see, none of these packages really have good magic spell or trap, which is kind of a problem. So we can still add more support to our deck. I mean, we have mostly 3 archetype we can add: either Virtual World, Wind Witch, or Radiant Typhoon that just got released. Virtual World is good for games that last longer, but it can be really breaky, and early game it's not that good, and yeah, it's not that perfect. Wind Witch is give a lot of good support to the deck, to the synchros, with protection and stuff, and can also be a one card starter combo. But the problem is that it's not quite consistent, and it can be struggling sometimes. And there's also some luck with them. For example, Wind Witch freeze ball, that if all monsters you control are Wind Witch monsters, minimum 1, you can special discard from your hand, which you want to have 1 Snowbell and 1 freeze bell, but if you draw it, it's like a brick card in your hand, so that's not really good. But the last one is Radiant Typhoon, which, hey, that's good. We're lacking spells, we're lacking, target removal. That's really great. And plus we need more bodies, because we have tuner, but we're lacking, all the targets outside of Pilica, because of course Takindumberg is going to be tributed, so we're not going to use it. Speed Terror Top is already used for the combo with the Red Eye Dice to bring out the Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, so we want to have more options available to us for doing more synchros that can be easily special summon. And that's the case. Radiant Typhoon is going to be an excellent mix in this deck, because it can also be a really good it's really consistent. It helps us having target removal thanks to the Mystical Space Typhoon, and even Mandate that can be negated and can be searched. It's really an amazing engine, and it costs free. It's free. It costs 0 points. So I think we're going to do it. Now we have to take a look at which one we want. It's mostly a level 3 deck. So that means we don't want to play the higher level cards like Radiant Typhoon Corsair. We don't want to play the Grid Flame, and we don't want to play the Vibrant Vortex. Hear me out. They are amazing cards, but if you're stuck with them at the opening hand, it's kind of bad. These cards doesn't mix well with the rest of the deck, with the idea behind the deck we have right now. So we're only going to use the one that can be used as free bodies, and that can make us draw, make us having good cards and search in the deck and stuff. So we're going to play 3 Eldam, 3 Zwen, 3 Chant, and 3 Visions with 1 Mandate. I think that's really good. Chance make it's again a one start combo with Eldam, or you can just start also adding Mystical Space Typhoon. We have Radiant Typhoon Vision that can make you draw, and that's really cool. So now we have our main engine. We have our Gusto engine, we have the Speed Rate engine, and we have the Radiant Typhoon engine. Now what are we lacking? Of course, we don't have a side deck. We didn't finish the extra deck, but let's focus on the main deck first. What are we lacking? Well, we're lacking some defensive options. That's really bad. We need this, because otherwise we're just going to get crushed by every other end traps and every other negates and stuff like that. So we need stuff to help the decks be able to combo without getting crushed on. And that's perfect. You know why? Because we only have used 9 points right now. We're going to use end trap that are either spell and trap or that are wind monsters. And wait, is there not a lingering really good end trap that stop your opponent from being able to completely add cards to their hand that is also a wind monsters? Of course, I'm talking about Droll and Lockbird, sorry. So yeah, of course this card it got a lot of hate on them, for being yeah, it sucked playing against it, but it's a really good card where our deck is not that strong against a meta deck. And remember, we're building this deck to be able to be playable, and also to be able to snatch some wins at local scenes. So playing cards like Joel and Lockbear are really necessary. Our deck is mostly also focused on quick spells thanks to the Radiant Typhoon and Giant, so we're going to use Book of Eclipse, which is also really good. What it's done is that change all face-up monsters on the field to face-down defense position. During the end phase of this turn, change as many down face defense position monster your opponent control as possible to face-up defense position. Then your opponent draw cards equal to the number of monster change face-up by this effect. So you can say that it's bad, but think about it. It's really good against Synchro and XYZ decks that are really good right now. That is almost the meta. I know that they're the meta right now, mostly the XYZ, because you cannot XYZ summon or Synchro summon with face down position, face down cards, face down monster position cards. Sorry for that. Face down defense position monster. I'm going to be able to say it. So playing 3 of these is really not a problem. It's 15 points, and look at this. We are at 39, so we have 15, 15, 9. That's 39. That's really good. And you know what? There's another good, you know, quick spell, which is Forbidden Droplet. That is also really good. Send any number of other cards from your hand or field to the graveyard. Choose that many effect monster your opponent controls. And until the end of this turn, their attack is half. Also, their effects are negated. In response to this card's activation, your opponents cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with the same original type, monster, spell, trap, as the card sent to the graveyard to activate this card. This is really good. I mean, it helps us a lot. It helps us sense cards that we don't need in their hand. For example, Speed Raid Fuki Mother Shift, we needed to banish it to gain the advantage of reducing its monster level by 2. And yeah, it's just really good to be able to cycle through it. And we still have two plays left. We have many points, and I think one cards we can also add, because of Forbidden Droplet requiring more traps, we can also add 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, which is really good. And now we look at it. We're already at 95. We have a good defensive options in our deck. We have good combo in our deck. We have 1 card starter with Eldam and Terratop and stuff like that. We also have cards like the Gusto and Giant to help us out when the game is going to, you know, go longer and longer. And maybe you will be saying like, yeah, but I don't know, Fall Knight. I don't know if this deck is good. You know, maybe we could add like, you know, maybe I want more than 40 cards. Maybe, you know, I want to make sure that my hand is not breaky. You know, that I'm always possible to have options. You know, for example, if I start my hand with 2 Troll Bloodbeard and, you know, and Forbidden Droplet and Infinite Impermanence, I will be stuck. Well, my friends, in that case, you can also be playing Wind, the Wind Channeler. I can discard this card and 1 other wind monster, add 1 monster with, you know, from your deck to your hand. So that's really good. You can add practically every single monster in this deck. Look at this. They're all 1500 defense and lower. So you can search the 1 card stumble monster you need for your combo, and that's really good. So yeah, if you want, you can just play like that. It's free. You can play 43. People normally told you to play 40 cards, which I agree. But in these cases, Win is like a free, you know, a free search. So personally, I think I would be better playing this way. You know, Win is never a break card, because you're always going to, you know, having another Wind monsters in your hand, and you know, you can even search them with Radiant Typhoon Chance. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea if you want to play 43, but you can also play it like that. But personally, I prefer it that way, just to make sure that the deck is always consistent, that I never have a chance of having a break end, which is really important when you're playing decks that are not meta, is that you want to make sure as possible that they are always playable, that it's always consistent, and that there's never a chance of you getting a break opening hand. So yeah, we'll still have the extra deck to work on, which is going to be really easy. Let's look at the Wind Monster Synchro. For sure, I think I will play with 1 level 9, and I think for now, let's take a look at the level 9s. Shin we cannot play her because it's 20 points. Miss Worm is really not that good. It can be really bricky. Mika, we can abuse it, and the Cloud Castle doesn't really serve a purpose in our deck. So I think we go with Monster or Wind Wolf for it. It's not that good, but it's free. You know, it gains a lot of attacks if it's not, you know, being checked on, and it can be really amazing. It can be a bar wipe. You can shuffle this card and all monster opening control into the deck, which is really not that bad. Next, I think we're lacking some drop power. So I think if we're looking at the level 6, which, you know, it's going to be the number we're playing the most, I think we can go with 2 Stardust Charge Wire. When this card is Synchro Summon, you can draw 1 card. So you can only use this effect of Stardust Charge Wire on Spark turn. This card can attack all special summon monsters your opponent controls once each. So for example, if your opponent is doing a combo and you stop it thanks to Droll and Knockbeard or Forbidden Droplet or Books of Eclipse or Infinite Impermanence, and they're stuck there on the field, you can then next turn start a Charge Warrior, draw a card, boom, 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 battle phase, destroy all of them, which is really, really good. I think it's a really good card, level 6 when Synchro generic. It's also generic, so that's really good. I think we can also play some XYZ, of course. Why just be luck and Synchros? We can also be playing some level 3 XYZs, because look at this. Level 3, level 3, level 3, level 3, level 3, and level 3. So I think it can be good to use some of them. For example, number 3, Kikaka King. We have Totem Birth. That can also be really, really good. And Totem Bird can can detach 2 materials to negate the activation of Spell Trap. Kikaka King can, you know, negate a monster effect on the field, so that's really, really good. And now we have 1 spot left. What could we add? What could we add? You know what? I think we're going to add 1 more it's High Speed Raid Synchro, which will be where is it? This one, High Speed Raid Cat Drake. I think the problem we have with this deck is that we don't have really board wipes. High Speed Raid Kite Drake will be the option for that. If this card is Synchro Summon, you can activate one of these effects. You can destroy all of the cards on the field, or you can negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently control. Not monster, all the cards you control face up. That's really, really good. And also, if this card in your position is sent to your graveyard by the opponent's card, you can add 1 Speed Raid from your deck to your hand. So that's meaning we can add back 1 Speed Raid, Terra Top, and during our turn, restart a combo with 1 card starter combo. So that's really, really good. And also, it's 3000. It's really big. I think we really need that. You know, we need some powers. You know, and I think that's really going to be good for us. So now we're done with the main deck and the extra deck. Now let's talk about the side deck, which can be quite confusing for players, because what do I put? Well, that's remind us of the beginning of this video. It depends of your mindset and the goal behind this deck. If your goal is to, you know, build a deck for a YCS original, you're going to look at the, you know, you're going to do some deck decking. You're going to look at the meta right now, what is the most played and popular decks that are currently be played in the tournament. For example, right now it's Vanquishal, it's Exosister, it's Generider, it's Odomat, Rizreal. So you're going to look at these and be like, all right, I'm going to build a side deck based on these. But that's not the case for a video right now. The case it's for a local scene. So you're then going to look at what is good right now, what players play at your local scene. For example, let's start with one of my players at my local scenes. They're playing Exodia, Mystic Mind, Runic. Yeah, so that's a lot of spells. So I know that, for example, against him, I'm going to play Cosmic Cyclone. Just in general, Cosmic Cyclone is a really good side deck, and it's free. You know, you pay 1000 life points to then target 1 spell trap on the field and banish it. It's really good in general, but in these cases, it's even better, because that means I can always banish his Mystic Mind. And right now, Mystic Mind doesn't have really options to get it back from the banish zone and from the banish zone, yeah, banish zone. And also, they can only be playing one of them, one copy of Mystic Mind, because, well, they cost 100 points. So Cosmic Cyclone can be really good for that. Let's take a look at the others. I have one player that is playing Fire King Jirak. Alright, that's graveyard effect, so that means I'm going to play some graveyard Aider. For example, Diddy Crow. I'm going to play 2 copies of Diddy Crow and Schoolmeister, which also is really good, because when a card effect is activated in your opponent's graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard and they get that effect. So that's still really good. And there we go. Et voila. Now let's take a look. I also have a player playing a Punk, and I have a player playing Utopia, XYZ Towers. So XYZ Towers, okay. Now I know that some of my players, if they're going to start first, they're going to play an headboard that is going to do a lot of negating on me. That's going to negate me and stuff like that, and it can be a pain in the ass. So of course, one of the best cards and the side decks that is free is Dark Ruler No More. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently control until the end of this turn. Also, for the rest of this turn after this card resolve, your opponents take no damage. no player can activate monster effect and response of this card activation. So that's really good. You know, for example, they cannot, you know, if their monsters have quick effect, they cannot use them because of Dark Rune no more, and they cannot even change to that card. So that's really good. We still have 5 spots left. Let's see. Okay, one of my players can also be playing towers. The turn towers and Yu-Gi-Oh means cards that are unaffected by anything, by everything. So, for example, they cannot be, you know, they cannot be target, they cannot be destroyed by card effect, they cannot be destroyed by battle, na. Towers are really a pain in the ass to deal with. Is there a wind monsters that can help me out with that? Oh yeah, for sure there's one. It's called Gadorla. It's a kaiju. I can special summon this card from my hand and my opponent's field and attack position by attributing one monster they control. Yeah, they can just get fucked by my kaiju, my wind kaiju. There we go, boom, it's wind. So even though I'm using wind the channel effect that of course lock me that I cannot use monster effects for the rest of the turn except if they're from wind monsters. Kerala is a wind monster. I'm chill with that. And yeah, let's take a look again. I mean, I will need some more target removal for, you know, I have a lot of monster negates, but again, even though I have 3 Cosmic Cyclone, I don't think that's enough. So I will go with, yeah, we'll go with Typhoon. There we go, let's go Typhoon. Speaking of Typhoon, I just realized I forgot to add two mystical space Typhoon in the deck. Poor you guys. I just realized that, yeah, because of the Radiant Typhoon, I completely forgot that. And voila, this is how I build a deck and Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesys format, or just in general. Now you have my understanding of how I do all my thinking. I hope it was clear. I'm sorry, my English is really bad, but I hope you still enjoyed this video. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments if this video will help you a lot about deck building your decks in general. And yeah, thank you again so much for watching this video. Don't hesitate to subscribe, to like, and to leave a comment in the comment section. And it was Fall Night. Take care guys, and I'll see you real soon with more videos about Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesys format. Take care y'all. Peace. Ciao.